All right, guys, back here on Southeastern 14 with Max Barr. We continue our look at SEC basketball transfers this offseason. We've made it to the Auburn Tigers as we talked about some other new additions for the Tigers this offseason. But now we're on to Miles Kelly, who joins the mix here for Bruce Pearl and company. And we're going to tell you every reason why we're excited about this addition for Miles Kelly and the old Auburn Tigers.
Oh
These
yeah.
guys are old when you look at this roster. But let's tell you about BetOnline first. Your number one source for the NBA and NHL playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, live odds when the games are being played. It's all there. And when the game's over, you can get on over to the online casino, get on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind one of over 150 slots games there. Head to the website today to get on the action. Don't forget, use that promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Max, they're old. This is an old team
They
because
are.
Miles Kelly now becomes the newest addition to the Auburn roster that is either a senior or grad transfer. There are no juniors, no sophomores. These guys have been around the block. They've played some basketball in their time, and Miles Kelly joins the mix, comes over from Georgia Tech, 13.9 points per game last season, 5.8 rebounds. Someone certainly Stone Mountain, Georgia native. And yeah, like now you look at how this Auburn roster is filled out a bit, and you see what Miles Kelly's going to add to the mix. They've got some size here on this roster, as we know. We know Broom's coming back, Cardwell's coming back. We talked about some of the other additions they have as well. You know, getting a Baker-Mazara back, Chaney Johnson. These are 6'7" guys. Miles Kelly, 6'6". So I really like the size that Bruce Pearl has put together on this roster heading in the next season.
Yeah, so I'm not sure the exact date that this quote was, but this was before the Kelly commitment. Bruce goes, "We really need one more guy that has a chance to compete. It really doesn't matter for me which position it's going to be, whether it's a 1-2, 2-1, 2-3, 3-2. It doesn't really matter. It'll be one more guard, and we've tried to be really patient to get the right fit." So Bruce he's come out and said, like, in those non-Pegues minutes at the point guard, he's comfortable playing a little bit of Pettiford, maybe even a little bit of Denver Jones. They weren't like like we need a point guard. It was kind of just which guard can we get that's the best fit for what we want to do. Uh, Glad you started with how old they are. They got 12 players on the roster. 2 of them are freshmen. Everyone else is a senior or grad. I don't know the exact average ages right now. I usually do those in the off season, but I'm gonna just go out on a limb here and say this is one of the oldest teams in the conference.
Yeah.
Um, so Miles Kelly, Georgia Tech. I knew he was good because I do watch a little bit of ACC, and Miles Kelly spoiled one of my favorite teams last year. Not going to talk about it, but each of the past 2 years here for Kelly leads Georgia Tech in scoring. He was a top 20 scorer in the ACC in general, and he was top 15 in the ACC in three-pointers made the past 2 years. So, hey, we always are trying to, without most of these transfers are low major to high major, and we're trying to figure out, what their efficiencies are, how are they going to translate this and that. Hey, you don't got to do that with Miles Kelly. This guy back-to-back years in the ACC on the offensive side of the ball. Offensive side of the ball. What are we talking football here? Jeez. On offense, this guy's ranking top 20, top 15, whatever category you want to name it. He's up there. But
Well, I'm gonna steal your thunder on one of these because you have a great note in here, and these are the kind of trends that I like to look at. Because I like to scroll through the Ken Palm. I like to see, okay, he had some ups and downs there. He does this, that. Okay, played a lot of minutes, as we know.
yep,
Miles Kelly. He had a game against
yep.
against Wake Forest back on February the 6th. All right, did not probably play his best basketball in that game. Didn't score. Played 23 minutes. He had 5 rebounds, but he had 4 turnovers. So you chalk it up, right? In the grind of a season, you're going to have some games where you just don't play well. What did he do after that, Max?
Did he like score a few points?
What did he do 4 days later at Louisville. Read me his stat line.
Career high, 36 points. 6 for 11 from 3. 7 rebounds, with 3 of them being offensive rebounds.
Incredible.
What?
Bounce back. That's a bounce back game. That's what we like to call it here. That's a big bounce back. But I think that's interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up because, like we said, it's throughout the course of a 30-something game season, you're going to get some of these outliers. That's like the outlier of okay, you go from not playing great, but then you turn around and you play really well. And look, people say, well, it was Louisville. Get it. But I think that shows you, though, like the mindset of a guy like this who comes out, it's going to happen. You're going to have some bad games throughout the course of a season. But, man, to turn it around and completely just go off in a big game like that, and you look throughout the season, right? He's got the 25-point game, against Miami. He's got some other big games in there. Had 25 against Notre Dame. Had 25 and 27 to start the season in non-conference games against Georgia Southern and Howard. And then, you can go back to last season, right? Remember, too, this is not just a one-hit wonder. Like, you go back to last season, and this guy certainly playing a huge role as well. I mean, really, the last part of his first year there, he started playing a lot more minutes, finished his first season 19 and 16 to end the 22 campaign. And then from there, he was such a huge part of what Georgia Tech was doing. And so, yeah, I like that too. You're not just having a guy that all of a sudden just kind of came up out of nowhere. He's been doing it pretty consistently now over the past couple seasons in the ACC, and I think that's important too as he joins, an Auburn team that now is in a conference where you're adding 2 more teams to the mix. It's a grind, and so yeah, that's always one of the more curious and fascinating parts of when people transfer into the SEC. How do you acclimate to the way the SEC plays?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have much of an issue. You were talking about those 25-point games. He had 5 of them last year. 5 times he reached 25-plus points. He had 7 games where he made 4 or more threes. This guy's three-point percentage is not do not put too much weight into that, okay? You're going to see his full season last year at 32%, and you're like, oh, no, he's close to 30%. He's probably not going to be that good of a No. Go and watch some Miles Kelly. This guy's high volume, shot over 200 threes last year. He was 38.5% in ACC play. That was top 25 in the conference. I mean, do not go by this guy's percentages, and he has deep range too. He can step out. He doesn't have to be right up on that 3-point line. Actually, wait, I'll pull up this. I didn't know when I was going to pull this up. If we have any Georgia fans in here, I'm very sorry, but it was just because I remember watching this game. I remember watching it. This was early season. You can see the record, 5-3 there. This is probably, November, December here. Look at the score, okay? It's Georgia 77, Georgia Tech 73 with a minute left. Let's just see here real quick what goes on here. Nothing but net. Oh, then they get a stop, down by 1 with 20 seconds left. Blow by, floater, game winner right there. Game 5-0 run by Miles Kelly.
What was that, the 2022-23 game where I remember that now. Yeah, because Georgia won last year, I think. But was that the 23? I think it's the 22-23 game.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so
that wasn't even last year.
Georgia fans, you got your win back last year. Just keep that in mind.
But the point stands. This guy's clutch. Who has the ball with a minute left for Georgia Tech?
Well, see, I like that too. I like when guys do come over from having to be the guy. He's going to step into an Auburn roster now where he doesn't have to be the guy, right? And so how do you that takes some of that pressure off? Because you're going to get better shots. We always say that about guys where it's thinking, okay, you go in, and people looked at Georgia Tech, right? I think they had, 2 double-digit scores last year, I want to say. Kelly was one of them. Who was the other guy? I can't remember his name.
Was it Sturdivant?
No, it was, oh my gosh, I will figure it out. If there's Georgia Tech fans in, you can let me know. But I know Kawasi Reeves was there. He averaged around 10 points a game. But I know there was probably another guy that I think averaged double figures. But the point is, right now you go from being a guy that every team was kind of game planning for. They knew that you were kind of the top priority. You were option 1 or 2 on every possession that you were in the game. Now you get to go over and you're on a team with Janai Broome. You're on a team with, Denver Jones and Pegues and all these guys. Like it opens up your game a bit more. And I think it's always fun to kind of see how guys thrive where they don't have to be the guy. They don't have to have the pressure on them in some of those situations. Even though, like I said, Georgia Tech's scoring was a little bit more spread out, but he was kind of the top dog there, averaging 14 points per game last season. So, yeah, I'm curious to see, again, how he adapts to that and just seeing what his role is on this team. Because now we've seen this roster fill out, right? The addition of where Broome saying he was returning. We knew that would be huge. Pegues, we talked about him. And some of the other guys as well, getting your nucleus back kind of in your front court with Baker-Mazara, Johnson, Broome, Cardwell, Moore's back. And then seeing, all right, how do things kind of shape up in the backcourt? As you mentioned, Pearl knew that he had to go get another guard. And now he adds Miles Kelly to the mix, and I'm curious what role he plays.
Well, I can tell you what role he might bring that Auburn didn't really have last year. This guy is I'm not going to say good, elite guard rebounder as well. We didn't really have that all that much in his package 2 years ago and really took a leap rebounding this past year. Okay, so his defensive rebounding percentage in conference play last year, so this is through 20 ACC games, he had a defensive rebound percentage of 17%. Okay, now just comparing to Auburn in SEC play. So this is both conference play numbers. Jalen Williams, 12.5. Baker-Mazara, 14.4. Chris Moore, 6.2. Dylan Cardwell, 13.7. The only two players on Auburn last year that had a higher defensive rebounding percentage than Miles Kelly was Chaney Johnson and Janai Broome. That's it. So now
and those guys are back. They're all set on the rebounding front end, defensive rebounding wise.
Exactly. You're talking about cleaning up the boards. You might be playing Miles Kelly at the 2 sometimes with that rebounding.
I think you'll have to play at the 2 sometimes. When you look at the roster, I think that's like Kelly, Baker-Mazara, Johnson, Broome. And then you just assume it's Pegues or Pettiford or
Denver.
Denver slotted in there, but if you have some of those different matchups you can work with, if you think about those are the 4 kind of guys that are going to play the guard type role, I guess you could say. And then you look at all the guys in the front court. Yeah, like you got a good rebounding group there.
Yeah. So I took it one step further. I like to do some of my Bart Torvik lists. So I was like, hey, man, this is a high defensive rebounding percentage. My goodness. And this guy makes a lot of threes. Let's just see that. So I went to Bart Torvik, high major players only. So the mid majors are filtered out of this. I did a defensive rebounding percentage of 15%, and you've made 63s. I mean, that's pretty basic. That is pretty basic. You rebound, you clean up the glass on defense, and then you can shoot the lights out sometimes. There was only 15 high major players that did it in the country last year. And I mean, and you're in some good company here. You got guys like Devin Carter, Tristan Newton, Baylor Shireman, Jalen Bridges, like Harrison Ingram, all really, really valuable, versatile guys that do a lot more than just score for their teams. So if you want to I'm not saying he's going to be Devin Carter. Okay. Devin Carter's ridiculous, but put him into that category of versatile kind of jack of all trades. I like this guy, Blake.
I do too. I mean, and again, I think it was pretty obvious that we talk about what this Auburn roster needed, and it makes sense why he would be someone that kind of joins the mix there. And I think that's where, like we mentioned, you look at just some of the games he had last year, and in some of the bigger games that they played, right, against some of the better teams, like had a big game against Wake Forest on the road after not having a good game the first time around against them. We talked about that Miami.
Play too.
Yeah, we talked about like the Miami game where he had a huge performance in that one. The Duke game, you mentioned how well he played. Kind of
shouldn't have done that.
I know, sorry, but that's kind of the point. Is it's a guy who's played well in some of these bigger spots, and I mean, I don't think I know we talked about it. I don't remember a lot from that game because it was one of those ugly type games. But the Mississippi State game early last season, I mean, he had 22 and 11 or 22 and 12 in that game. So, I mean, they beat Mississippi State. It was kind of a surprise at the time. And so, yeah, like this guy stepped up in some of these big spots. You can definitely tell that. And so, played well against Clemson, who of course made it to, to the Elite Eight. So, yeah, like
He out rebounded Cam Matthews in that game.
oh boy, wow. All right, Max, we'll give you a minute to let that sink in. I know that's going to bother you as Cam Matthews is the captain of the all bully ball team, but maybe you've got a new potential addition here. We'll see if Miles Kelly can join the mix here on the bully ball team. Auburn's got a couple. Auburn's got a couple guys I think you can put in that category. So, anyways, there you go. There are thoughts on Miles Kelly to Auburn. As always, guys, we appreciate you watching. Check out all the other videos we've done, not just on Auburn, other teams as well. We got baseball, football. Also, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out. Thanks as always for watching. Talk to you again here soon. Southeastern 14.